It's a modern reconstruction. There's reconstructed that on the base of those 3 black and white photographs from 1933. After a process of 10 years, he was happy about this state that he commissioned a professional photographer to take those photographs. And the tragedy is that at this moment, when Schwitters decided, so now it has a state that I can show it and make it public, and he wanted to reproduce that. The Nazis seized power, so he was afraid of that the Gestapo will come and destroy that work. So he closed it also within his flat and move a cupboard in front of the door like this. And he knew that he had to leave this Merzbau, but he never stopped to build other Merzbau. So later he wrote in a letter, Merzbau is Merzbau. When he lived or stayed for a longer period, some weeks only, at another place, he immediately started to create new Merz constructions on walls. It started on walls and columns, and then he linked it together to a walk-through installation. That was also the process. He didn't have so much space. He had one studio. He also named that only later Merzbau. In the first years, he only wrote about my studio or my atelier, so my room. He slept in it, so it was his life, living space and working space in one time. And so only at this year after 31, when his father died, and he got more space. That was actually in the flat of his parents. They lived in the first level in the house, in the main level, and he, with his wife and only one son, Ernst, lived 2 levels higher. So he went into the flat of his father, and he was very, more or less distantly or critical to what his son was doing. And when he wanted to show it, so he has to go with his guest artist friends, so through the flat of his parents, and they had to wear felt booties. Well, if you go to a castle and to take care for the white painted floor. So, and we know from memories of these contemporary friends that he made a kind of performance also when he walked through the sculpture with people. But he more or less created secrets. So you find a wide range of really crazy things, like a small bottle with his own urine was exhibited at this time. So that was another piece of body or part. Body,
and it was lit in a way that it looked like gold. So it was really the most kind of ironic transformation yes, some kind of very triple body art. He also enjoyed really very much to sort of lead people into confusing directions. Like he made very contradictory comments to different people about this piece. So every visit was totally different, and he enjoyed that. And there were so many references and allusions to so many different things that it's impossible to even imagine how rich this piece was, because in a way, he described it as the cathedral of erotic misery. That was the first description of it. And maybe it's important, because you won't understand it, otherwise it's kind of confusing, that the pieces that are photographed inside are the pieces that have not been able to, that would be impossible to reconstruct. So these were, assemblages or personal objects, like from friends, things he stole even from some of his artist friends, like
a pencil from Mies van der Rohe,
or the bra of the Sophie Teuber art, and things like that. So it was really a total work of art, and completely changing all the time. But the pieces that Bissegger could not reconstruct are the ones that are photographed. So this is just for your information, because it was impossible. The fact that he was even able to make a reconstruction only based on these photographs is a story in itself. It's an unbelievable story. It took 2 or 3 years of his life of Bisseker.
I want to introduce you to Monica Rohn, who is the daughter of Peter Bisseker, who was commissioned, as Isabel said, in 1981, the quite famous curator Harold Seisman in Europe commissioned Peter Bisseker to make a full-scale reconstruction of what was the main room of the Merzbau. And Peter spent some years going back to these original photographs and also working with Schwitters' son, Ernst Schwitters, to make this as accurate as possible.
It took my father something like a year and a half of mathematical trigonometric calculations to reestablish the precise location of certain of the three-dimensional points that are in here. And so before he even started building anything, he spent a long time really just in his head doing research. So it was not made by trying to build something and then comparing to photos, but rather doing a lot of forensic work in trying to reconstruct, okay, what kind of camera this was. Where the camera, by the way, is visible in the mirror right in here. That is one of the cameras. Like reconstructing the exact location of the camera, reconstructing the focal length of the lens, which is an entire chapter, an adventurous chapter in itself, you know, to just finding that. And also the actual scale, the actual size of the room, that too. So each of these mysteries or keys to the mathematical establishment of where the points were their own adventure with its misleading clues and then finding the right documents, etc.
I think what's for me at least, is very unbelievable in a way and very moving is that this thing that was really a radical, maybe the first installation you created in Western art became, because of the political situation after 33, really became kind of a refuge and kind of a metaphor for an artist who was forced to close down, to sort of, to just create a work of art just for himself, sort of outside of himself, sort of an expansion of his body. And very, very few people saw it after the 1933, and then, of course, the unbelievable thing happened in 1943 because his wife had stayed back in Hanover to guard his work. To basically, he had to flee because the Nazis he would have been killed, and so he had to flee. But his wife stayed, and then very tragically, she died before the end of the war, and it was just a terrible blow for him because he never saw her. She died very lonely, and it was just a terrible tragedy. But it's an unbelievably important seminal piece, really, in the history, of 20th century. So I think it's really fantastic to have it here.